Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and it is draft morning. So come visit me tonight, tomorrow, Saturday. I'll be up here live streaming the entirety of the NFL draft. So definitely would appreciate your visitorship. Today, I am going to go through 3 mock drafts that I prepared. 4 really that I prepared. 3 really quickly, and then I'll walk through on PFF a mock draft that it's crazy. That's enough of that. Let's just get right into this mock draft prediction number 1 of mine. I did these first 2 predictions maybe Sunday, but I believe on Monday. All right, so here is my second prediction from I put out a video on Tuesday where I really focused on all of the most recent rumors and made a mock based on those, heavily based on those. And I updated that then on Tuesday night because that was the rumors as of Monday night. So Tuesday night I did, last night, I did an upgrade here of Where There's Smoke, There's Fire Part 2. So we're going to start off, as always, Bryce Young here, then Tyree Wilson going to Houston at number 2. Did Devin Witherspoon to the Cardinals again here at 3. Will Levis to Indianapolis at 4. Will Anderson to Seattle at 5. And at pick 6, we're going to have Atlanta trade up with Detroit. And Jalen Carter goes to Atlanta there. Detroit looks like they're going to move back twice in this one. So Christian Gonzalez goes to Las Vegas. And then Paris Johnson. So Pittsburgh's looking to trade up in this draft for tackle. Don't know that that'll happen for sure, but it's possible. And in this scenario, I have them really coming up here to ensure that they build that picket fence and they take Paris Johnson ahead of Chicago here. So big trade up that, hey, could happen. Then Kalijah Cansey going to Chicago. So Peter Skronsky goes to the Eagles again. C.J. Stroud going to Tennessee in this scenario. Then we see a big trade up from Cincinnati, trading up with Houston at pick 12 to get Bijan Robinson. Once again, I had that similar logic here where Houston's really going for the quarterbacks next season. And I'm sure I just had the Bengals give them a first-round pick for next season. And then they were able to move up. Bengals didn't really have to lose draft capital for this draft. You can just imagine that offense, how scary that would be with Bijan Robinson and the weapons that they already have. So I think that this helps to put them over the edge here for a Super Bowl without, just giving up a little bit of future capital. Then Jackson Smith, always to Green Bay, Roderick Jones. And, we're going to see something different here. So at pick 15, Detroit trades up with the Jets. And Detroit, I'm going to have them go Deonte Banks. I was between Joey Porter Jr., Deonte Banks here. I think Joey Porter would be an excellent culture fit. I think Deonte Banks is an excellent scheme fit. So that's why I ended up going Deonte Banks, because he's probably not a culture fit anyways. Then Dalton Kincaid going to Washington at pick 16 because of reasons for how this board draft fell, I guess. Then Anthony Richardson to Detroit at pick 17 with their original pick. Detroit had used their 18th pick that they had acquired earlier in order to help move up to 15 here, which means that the Jets are up at pick 18, and DeWand Jones is going to be their pick here. Then Nolan Smith going to Jacksonville at 19, and Joey Porter going to Seattle. I think that was a trade there at 19. Jacksonville actually moved up with Tampa Bay, moved back. Jacksonville moved up here to grab Nolan Smith. And Michael Mayer going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Quentin Johnston to Baltimore. Jordan Addison to Minnesota. A lot of betting odds going into these. Darnell Wright at tackle to Baltimore. To the Buccaneers. Luke Whippler to New York. Yeah, I got some confidence back on that pick with the lovely Chris Collinsworth draft. If you haven't seen that on PFF, it's interesting. It's always nice to see refreshing takes, if nothing else. And sometimes when those refreshing takes actually line up with your own, it's a little bit of a confidence boost coming from somebody like, Collinsworth appears to do his homework, and he obviously has spent a lot of time with the sport. So I don't know that he's some sort of center expert, but whatever. We went back to this Luke Whippler to New York Giants thing. Anyways, then Brian Branch at safety to Philadelphia. Philadelphia would have had to trade up with Dallas for that one. So it fell a little bit. Want to make sure that they get him. I love that for Philadelphia if he falls anywhere, even up to 22 here to maybe make that move up for Branch. Darnell Washington going to Buffalo. There are some pretty high betting odds on tight end to Buffalo. Miles Murphy, edge, going to Houston. So this one, they get two edges, right? Tyree Wilson, Miles Murphy, two different types of edges that'll bring different elements to this defense. But hey, we're going to go defense heavy here, build that up, and then we'll come in next year with a quarterback. Mozzie Smith to New Orleans, Osiris Torrance to Dallas at pick 30. They definitely could address their offensive line. And Anton Harrison to Kansas City. All right, now we are going to get into the mock draft that I titled, I have no clue what's going to happen. Or, no, I titled, no, that was my working title here. So I have no clue what's going to happen. So why even try to predict this draft? So this is a little bit more of a what would I do mock draft. Came up with the idea to just do this instead last night, and woke up this morning tired because it was like Christmas for me last night, and I just couldn't get my mind off of I was just thinking of what would I do for each of these teams, came up with a bunch of scenarios, and then woke up tired. I ended up, I think, setting myself up to feel like a lot of the decision makers around the NFL will feel on draft day, tired, caffeinated, anxiously excited and nervous for everything that's about to happen. And that created some interesting choice making, and you combine that with this jobbled mess of things that I wanted to do, at least 10 things that I really, really wanted to do in this draft. Say, this is what I would do if I was this franchise right now, and this is what I would do if I was that franchise. And it's impossible to do 100% here what I would do. I also have to take into account, maybe people have jobs on the line, and I just can't ignore the fact Bryce Young's going number one. If there's some of these sure bets, I'm not just going to totally overlook that. But I ended up titling it this is a mess, I think, this draft. Yeah, it's just titled It's a Mess. I wouldn't call this a predictive mock, but maybe some of these things will happen, and then I'll just look like some sort of crazy genius. We'll see. And so a couple of things just before we get into this, as far as this draft goes, did go in with some of my thoughts from the previous night when I couldn't fall asleep. And so, for instance, went in with Arizona trying to trade DeAndre Hopkins, and having spoken to three teams that are coming into the draft about it, or coming to some terms with three teams. I had Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City each with pretty much offers ready to go if Arizona decided that they wanted to move up at, for instance, for Baltimore at pick 22, give up pick 34 and DeAndre Hopkins for 22. Buffalo at pick 27, get back a 2025 third rounder and give up pick 34 and Hopkins to move up to 27. Or Kansas City at pick 31, give up 34 Hopkins, get 31 and pick 95 in this draft. All differing trades depending on, when a player that you want might be available there, ready to go for Arizona. As far as the Titans go, I was really looking to just tear this down, rebuild it. There's no sense in continuing to be mediocre, especially in the AFC. So let's do something with this. Not looking to, be a bad team, just looking to start a rebuild here, actually. Then I also came into this with three tight ends I wanted to make sure go in the first round. Only one or two wide receivers I wanted to do in this. And then I think there's a really good chance that Kalijah Cansey, Lucas Van Ness, and Hendon Hooker are not first rounders. So it really avoided taking them in this draft as well. And with that, we're going to kick this off with Bryce Young at pick number 1. Then at pick number 2, put it on my Houston cap. I'm trying to trade back from the spot. I would like to trade out of this number 2 spot. but I don't think that the trades are there. Just don't think that an agreement comes out of this. I would, in this situation, if it's me, I would take Anthony Richardson here. I would take this home run swing and potentially put the franchise into the conversation in the future. And then I believe in the year 2024, if we feel like we've made a mistake here with Anthony Richardson, we could pull an Arizona Cardinals and just move up in that draft to get the quarterback of our dreams at that point. If we're just a year into this Anthony Richardson experiment and say, no bueno. So we have the capital to be able to do that, and that's kind of the plan here. If I'm Houston and I do this, I'm not planning on having Anthony Richardson be my full-time starter in 2023. I don't want him to be developing bad habits, and that's probably what will happen if we put him out there as raw as he is right now. But I am planning on getting him out on the field, create some packages for him, put him in favorable positions for himself, and not just like build confidence, but also help the team win. You know, some of those third and short situations, goal line situations, get him out there in some packages. But I don't want to do that too much because I don't want him to get injured, because I do want to be able to trade him away to a team in the event that we're not sold on him after a year. Also, something to keep in mind as if I'm Houston is that Tennessee is apparently shopping Ryan Tannehill. So maybe if things go Tennessee's way in this draft, that we could scoop him up for Richardson to learn under. Just a thought. Don't know how willing Tennessee would be to do that with us, but we're in a make-believe world anyway, so we'll see. At pick 3, Arizona is going to make a trade, and we're going to see Arizona trade away DeAndre Hopkins. This was one of the things that I was going to make sure happens in this draft. I did not speak with the Atlanta Falcons prior to the draft. I was about to make a trade. I couldn't find Arizona. I was about to make a pick. I couldn't find any trades for Arizona, and I was like, let me look at Atlanta Falcons roster one more time, because I know what they did on defense and everything in the offseason, but for some reason I was sitting there and I'm like, wait, who's their number 2 wide receiver? And for the last month, I've been feeling like I knew who it was, and it was somebody half decent. Their wide receiver core is not as good as I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was a little bit better. So I was like, well, I mean, Atlanta can come up here. So we have Atlanta coming up here. Picks 8, 44, 2024, round 2 for pick 3 and DeAndre Hopkins. And with that, Atlanta's going to take Jalen Carter, and they add DeAndre Hopkins to their roster. And with everything they've done in the offseason, I think we're setting ourselves up pretty well to potentially win our division. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's goal number 1. Indianapolis comes up onto the board, and I think it's going to be Will Levis for them. And Seattle's going to take Will Anderson in this situation. Then we will see a trade here at pick 6. So originally this morning, this is actually version 2 of It's a Mess, because the first time that I did it this morning, I totally forgot about something I thought about last night, and that would be the fact that if CJ Stroud falls, of course, Detroit, I think, would be very interested in potentially taking them. I don't know that they ultimately do. And so if they could get bribed to get out of this pick anyways, all the more reason to not take them and go elsewhere. And I think this is a situation where we're going to see Detroit going for a Super Bowl. That's right. We're going to see Tennessee Titans trade away Derrick Henry and pick 11 for pick 6 and pick 81 here in a blockbuster trade. And Tennessee is in a rebuild mode at this point. And as far as Detroit being in a Super Bowl mode, they could also offload DeAndre Swift. They could keep him. I don't know about the money, finances about that with this trade. Maybe they could even have swapped him in this trade with Tennessee. That could probably make some sense for both teams. But whatever the case, right now, Tennessee coming up for CJ Stroud. Then Las Vegas comes up onto the board, and I feel like this coaching regime in Las Vegas is on a 2-year trial run to show management that they can do something and give management the confidence to do a start a rebuild then with this regime compared to ousting them, bringing in somebody new for a rebuild. Like I said, in 2 or 3 years as far as the rebuild goes. So if I'm this coaching staff, this regime, and this is the situation that I feel like we're in, and Jimmy Garoppolo is my quarterback as they have decided he will be, then I intend to play some like late 90s to early 2000s type of football here. I want to make sure that Jimmy G is comfortable in the pocket and he's in as few second and third and long type situations as possible. So I'm going to start by shoring up my offensive line here, if I'm Las Vegas, by taking Peter Skoronski. Then in the trade back, we will see Arizona actually go Paris Johnson Jr., just because it would be a good pick. This is a what would I do mock, and I would want to be prepared for when Kyler comes back to help him to not get injured again, because that's been a major concern. So I would focus on offensive line and get that shored up. Then Chicago comes up onto the board, and we have seen Tyree Wilson fall a little ways. So at pick 10 for the Eagles, we will see Devin Witherspoon go off the board. Then Detroit goes to Christian Gonzalez here at pick 11. And at pick 12, we are going to see another trade, this also including Tennessee. And I hinted at some of this trade already. I don't know for sure on this value, but this seems relatively correct, maybe. And I do think that Houston could find themselves having to pay for this also. So maybe it would be even a little bit different than this, whatever the case. This is what I went with. So we are going to see Houston trade picks 12 and a 2024 round 2 pick to Tennessee. Tennessee is going to trade 41, a future first, 2024, and then Ryan Tannehill to Houston in this instance, and that gets accepted here. And so with this for Houston, they're going to both get the insurance policy here in case Anthony Richardson was a mistake by getting that future first. They have 3 first-round picks in 2024 now, and then they could almost surely move up in that draft for a quarterback and immediately correct their mistake, if it is a mistake, by going with Anthony Richardson there in this draft. Additionally, they're hoping to not have to do that, and so they get a veteran here to play this season in front of Richardson for Richardson to learn behind, because he's basically in rookie boot camp all season learning how to play the quarterback position better. That's going to be the most important task for him. So we can start, hopefully, a winning culture here with Tannehill for Richardson to then walk into in 2 or 3 years. And in the meantime, he's going to learn from someone who's fits our system. And as far as Tennessee goes, they need to fix their offensive line so that C.J. Stroud doesn't develop any bad habits of his own when he gets under pressure, which we already know is a concern for him. So that's where Tennessee comes up here. And they're going to be taking Broderick Jones. Green Bay, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I just think that's probably going to happen. Nolan Smith here to New England. And then Darnell Wright going to the Jets. Then we will see, once again, Deonte Banks going to Washington here. And we're going to go Joey Porter Jr. for Pittsburgh, with a plan to be moving up later in this draft, if possible, for offensive line. And then Detroit at pick 18. Have we had any trades that I've missed? No, but things are about to get insane here down the stretch. So if you didn't think it was insane already, just wait. So at pick 18, Detroit's going to go Miles Murphy here. Then we are going to see a trade up here at pick 19 for Tampa Bay. They received 2 offers here, one from the Los Angeles Chargers, probably even more offers, but these were the 2 that I wrote up. Los Angeles Chargers, pick 21, 125, and a 2024 round 4 pick for Tampa Bay's 19th, or Arizona pick 44 for these 2 picks. So I end up going that route, like that for more as Tampa Bay. And Arizona cuts up here, and they're going to take Bijan Robinson off the board. Then at pick 20, we're going to see Mozzie Smith go to Seattle. Didn't really love the board. They were definitely looking to trade back, and I just, That's Mozzie Smith. Oops. And at pick 21, we are going to see Jacksonville here trading up 24 and 121 to 121 to 21. And Jacksonville has come up in order to draft Darnell Washington in this case. Remember, this is a bit of what would I do draft, and I love the upside of Darnell Washington. Then at pick 22, we are going to see the Kansas City Chiefs looking to trade up. I must have influenced this trade here by making this trade earlier. So we're going to see the Chiefs pick 31, 95, and a 2024 round 3 in order to come up to pick 22. And we will see Kansas City moving up to take Dalton Kincaid off of the board here. I think that could be a very important pickup to them, depending on exactly how they think about things. We're going to get another trade here at pick 23. Minnesota trading with Interdivision. They made a couple trades last year, I believe. It's a big one. Detroit coming up from pick 48. Sending pick a future third rounder and DeAndre Swift, baby. We got Derrick Henry. We don't need this anymore. And Minnesota's like, yeah, we'll take DeAndre. And hey, maybe Dalvin Cook's up for trade, but that's not really the main idea here. So anyways, Detroit Lions are going to come up with this trade for pick 23. Big trade. Safety Brian Branch. So Detroit walking away here with Brian Branch, Derrick Henry, losing DeAndre Swift, but they don't really seem to like him a whole lot, so it doesn't, probably not a loss for them. Maybe a gain by loss or whatever, addition by subtraction. Could be that in their minds. Then Miles Murphy and Christian Gonzalez here to Detroit. So just going all in on this Super Bowl right now. And we're going to see more quarterback chaos start to brew here by the Chargers going Jahmyr Gibbs. Austin Eckler, it's been great. We are going to honor your trade request. Phones are open. We have let the NFL teams know that you are available. And we will see another trade here down the stretch. New York Giants with Pittsburgh. Told you they would be coming up from pick 32. And they will trade away 32.80 for 25, 128. I mean, the compensation doesn't really matter in these. Truly, just the fact that it can happen unless the compensation's for another purpose. But the main idea is that Pittsburgh decides to come up here. New York Giants, we're going to get our center just a little bit later. That's the idea. Then for Pittsburgh, we're obviously coming up for offensive line. Who's it going to be? It's probably DeJuan Jones. And it was. And then we're going to see another trade here. Cincinnati, oh, look at that. It's ready to go. Cincinnati is going to trade picks 28, 131 for 26 here. And that's like perfect value on the trade charts. And Cincinnati goes Michael Mayer here. And Buffalo comes up onto the board. Going to go Brian Brzee there. And Dallas goes, ooh, yes. We were able to get a little bit of capital, so we're going to feel comfortable. We're going to take Jack Campbell here for Dallas. Really would like him in Dallas. Think he'd be a great match for them. New Orleans comes up onto the board. And, I mean, I'm starting on that defensive line, offensive line. And in this situation with this board, I'm going to go offensive line. Remember, I'm not trying to take Kalijah Cansey in the first round. So now, one more bit of chaos before we get this darn thing wrapped up. We're going to see the Philadelphia Eagles trade. We're going for a Super Bowl here in Eagles land. And Austin Eckler just came up onto the market. So where are you, Los Angeles? That's right. Austin Eckler is available. Thank you very much. And so we will see probably Philadelphia reaching out to the Chargers saying, hey, we're interested. Are you interested in making a trade here? And they said, well, I mean, we could come up to 30. Yeah, sure. We don't know who we're going to take, but we got a deal. And they're going to get pick 54, 156, and Austin Eckler back for pick 30 here. We'll see if that goes through. It did once, it didn't once, it doesn't this time. So we're not going to get pick 156, apparently. And instead, we're just going to get pick 54, Austin Eckler, for pick 30. I do think that this running back, especially with how the running backs are flying around switching teams right now, It's a little bit of a saturated market. This is a pretty solid running back draft. So this is all just chaos. But the loss, Philadelphia adds Austin Eckler to their team here. So we're going for a Super Bowl or bust there. I think that would be a very interesting matchup there. And the Chargers are coming up for, it could be Kalijah Kancey, it could be Quentin Johnston, it could be Van Ness, it could be Will McDonald, it could be Zay Flowers. I don't know. I ended up going Kalijah Kancey, but remember I accidentally took Kancey earlier, so we are going to take Mozzie Smith in his place in this draft, but it's Kalijah, who I didn't want to take in the first round, but once the Chargers front office just got really excited about coming up to 30 here and just did it and then decided who they were going to draft, which is probably not the way to do it. And then Baltimore's jaws are just dropped at this point in the draft. They just saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trades since pick 19 in front of them. They've seen like 3, 4 running backs switch teams. DeAndre Hopkins went earlier. Ryan Tannehill went a little bit earlier in this draft. And so Baltimore's jaws are just on the ground. They're flabbergasted. They can't speak. And the decision maker there just says something, and the person who's going to fax in the paperwork to the NFL front office has no clue what they said and assumes maybe they said, didn't Barway? Sounds like Timo Barway, right? I don't know. That's who the Falcons go. Falcons, Ravens. So that's a prediction? Question mark? I'll see you later at for the draft. Happy drafting day, and this ain't gonna happen.